On today's episode, we are going to take a quick look at Square and what this acquisition of Afterpay means for the company. I'm going to share my overall thoughts. If you guys missed it yesterday, I did an episode on Square's earnings. I thought the company had some strong earnings. Me as a shareholder, I'm super excited about those earnings. Now, after reading this presentation, I want to say I'm also super excited. But I'm not the only one, right? The overall stock market is also, and other investors are liking this acquisition and earnings. Yesterday on Monday, Square closed over 10% up compared to its closing price on Friday. Afterpay also had a strong day, right? Afterpay was up almost 30%. Also guys, this week we have some crazy earnings. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to get info on all the videos I will be popping this week. So in today's episode, we're going to answer 3 questions. First is what is or who is Afterpay? Then we're going to take a quick look at how is Square going to integrate Afterpay into their current methods or into their current growth. And finally, my overall thoughts. Do I believe this is a good opportunity for Square? So first, let's start off with Afterpay. Afterpay is a buy now, pay later. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of a few other companies that do similar stuff. So if you're shopping online, you can see, hey, you can purchase this. Instead of making one big payment, you can either buy it now and pay later over some form of installments, usually 3 to 4. The great thing is the buy now, pay later market is still super small. It only penetrates about 2% of online payments. So if we take a quick look at Afterpay is growing at crazy levels. We can see this overall growth since 2018 continue uptrend. As of June of 2021, they had about 16.2 million active consumers and they had about 98,000 active merchants. So they're coming in with both merchants and consumers. The great thing is in the consumer side, these are usually a huge portion of the consumers are millennials and Gen Z consumers. This is probably one of the major driving of things like Cash App and Square as well. So it's bringing already a good form of consumers to Square. The second thing is they do help with the merchant side. They help drive incremental sales. Afterpay application drove about 1 million leads per day across its merchants based on its fiscal year of 2021. So it's showing that, hey, it's a strong move for both the consumer and the merchant. And this is exactly what Square is doing, right? They have their seller ecosystem, which is mainly for merchants. They have their Cash App system, which is mainly for consumers. So Afterpay has also been growing at crazy levels. From 2019 to 2020, gross merchant volume grew about 100%. Then from 2020 to 2021, it also grew another 100% in gross merchant volumes. Revenue was almost online. It has a 92% compounded annual growth rate between 2019 to 2021. So Afterpay, before being purchased, it had the following plans of moving forward. First, it was trying to grow its overall geographics. Right now, it mainly hits 2 main markets. So we can see North America is here in the dark gray, and Australia and New Zealand are like this tealish greenish color. Those 2 made up most of this company's gross merchant volume, right? Where a small portion came from United Kingdom, and it has been growing dramatically, especially here in North America. North America has been expanding, I want to say, the fastest. So one thing Afterpay is trying to do is continue to grow its overall international markets. And finally, right now, buy now, pay later is something that's pretty much only in online stores. They were also trying to expand it into in-person commerce as well as a new type of vertical. And I'm pretty sure after just looking about Afterpay, we can already see how Square can integrate into it. And that's what we're going to talk about next, is this integration between Cash App, which is with their seller system, with Square and Afterpay. But before we do that, guys, let's take a quick listen to today's sponsor, a great reason why I'm able to provide so much content to you guys for free. I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You guys know I love finding new investing tools and resources to help me scout out new growth stocks. And right now I have a discount for one of my favorite services the Fool offers. Through the Motley Fool Stock Advisor services, you get access to a ton of expert stock picks. Every month you'll get 2 new picks that are aimed at growing your wealth and to help you realize your financial goals. Stock Advisor's average stock picks have done amazing returns. If growing your money is something you'd like to do more of this year, you can visit fool.com/Jose Najarro or click on the link below for access to my special offer and decide if the stock advisor is right for you. Thanks again to the Motley Fool, and now onto today's video. All right, so Afterpay is going to build connections between seller and the Cash App. So I think it's the perfect integration for their seller ecosystem and for their consumer ecosystem as well. So first, let's take a look at the seller. Let's say you are selling something right now using Square's products and solutions. Now Afterpay is going to be integrated into the seller. So if you have some form of e-commerce store with Square, right, you will now have Afterpay as a form of this buy now pay later solution integrated into your payments. So that's going to be great. And the reason I believe that's great is a lot more people would rather do something like buy now pay later opposed to paying a big chunk. I'm not sure if that's the smartest solution financially, but I feel like that is a very, very popular method, especially since they're usually interest-free payments. The second thing I want to mention here is this is going to go directly through Square's payment solutions, so it doesn't have to jump through any third-party solutions. We've seen many studies that, hey, if you click purchase now and it takes you to a third-party website or a third-party purchasing solution, usually the chances of that purchase being made has decreased already. So now kind of integrating this within its platform, making it a native solution, makes it stronger than it being a third-party solution. So now Afterpay will also integrate into the Cash App. So with consumers, let's say if you're trying to buy something and you're trying to do with monthly or whatever installments, interest payment installments, you will be hit with this. Continue with Afterpay. Afterpay will now be integrated into Cash App. So it's kind of gonna force people to download Cash App, increase that monthly active users, and Cash App within itself has so many other type of products that once people download Cash App, it's gonna push them to view some of those other products, maybe even use some of their digital wallets. And this is going to overall increase the gross profits, especially here for Cash App, for the Cash App ecosystem for Square. And Cash App did mention during their earnings, feel free to watch that video, guys. I talk a little bit about this, how Cash App's ecosystem really deals with people kind of using their digital wallet, with people putting inflows into their Cash App application. So adding more people in here, I think is going to be a great move for Square as well. Another thing, I mean, they are going to integrate the e-commerce. There are a lot of retail stores that use buy now pay later, especially Afterpay. So now again, if you are, for example, this is a big enterprise right now, clothing enterprise that uses Afterpay. So you can purchase from them and continue with Afterpay. Again, that's going to push you to that Cash App. So great moves, overall great moves. Here we can see how this integration is going to go. So right now, Afterpay is pretty much just buy now pay later. Square has about 30 products right now giving to its merchants and to its consumers. So now this is going to be a new solution for it. Right now, Afterpay is mainly online, so it's going to add more online presence to Square, even though Square is already a huge company. In seller size, I think this is super important. In seller size right now, Square mostly uses mid-market merchants. These are the biggest portions, and these are people that have about 500,000 of gross payment volume. So those are some nice sized businesses, but they're nowhere near enterprise merchants. And for Afterpay, most of their seller size come from enterprise merchants. So this is going to expand Square's into a new solution as well. We also saw that Square right now, if you took a look at my earnings video, most of their money comes from United States-based companies. For Afterpay, we saw it comes from a good portion comes from New Zealand and Australia, and a good portion comes from the United Kingdom. Obviously, they do have a good portion of United States, but by having Afterpay is going to overall increase their geographies that Square hits. So overall, I do like the move, right? I definitely like the move. Now let me talk about what I'm not a huge fan of, and maybe some people might not be a good fan of, but the market says otherwise. So we can see, right, Afterpay, this is going to be an almost all stock deal. There is a ability for Square to pay up to 1% through cash, but most of it is going to be through an all stock deal for Square. And the transaction is worth $29 billion. So the stock price, which is about 39 billion Australian dollars, if we take a quick look at Afterpay right now, after this jump up, the market cap of Afterpay is now around 37 Australian dollars. So in theory, the company paid about 30% over, right? 30% over what Afterpay was worth. And I believe many investors might not be a fan of this, But I think there's two different things, right? First, Afterpay as an individual might be worth around 38 billion Australian dollars, right? But now when you integrate that platform with Square, the whole value changes, right? As an individual thing, right? Something individual can definitely be worth a lot. But when you integrate two companies that could merge together perfectly, just that portion becomes even more expensive or valued more. And I do believe Afterpay as an individual company is cool, but with the integrations that Square is planning to do, it makes it I think crazy. It makes it a whole different type of valuation. At the same time, right? I mean, we see so many people online. I get it on my comments yesterday. I got a comment that, hey, Jose, Afterpay was purchased too much. I'm pretty sure most of the CEOs know a lot more about fintech and how to value and the overall growth of their valuation compared to most of us, right? So everybody does it for a reason. They could have overpaid as an individual, but I do believe as a solution, it's a whole different market. Another thing I do want to mention is the Afterpay co-founders and co-CEOs are still going to be part of the leadership, right? So they are going to be running the Afterpay business under the Cash App and under the seller ecosystem in Square. Square will also appoint one of them to kind of be in the board of directors immediately following closing. They are expected to close this in the first quarter of calendar year of 2022. So take care, guys. Have a good night and see you next time.